When was the last time that you gave your website a proper checkup? And I'm not just talking about a simple look over, I'm talking about a full-on health inspection. What if I told you that just by skipping a few simple clicks, your website could become slower, could even become broken, or even worse yet, become vulnerable to hackers? In this video, we're going to run through my simple 6-step routine that I do for my own website and for my clients' websites in order to make sure that they continue to run smoothly and effectively. And at the end of this video, you're going to be maintaining your own website like a pro. And the best thing is you don't even need to be a techie person to do this. So let's jump into it. Okay, we're talking about health checks. And the first step is to check your health checker. And in WordPress websites, there's a handy little tool called Site Health. And it's kind of like your website's personal doctor, and it's going to tell you most of the things that you need to fix. So we're going to just come across and go straight to Tools and Site Health. And boom. When you come in here, it's going to do a Site Health check. While this says results are still loading, then it's not up to date. Once it comes up with a result, it will either be green, yellow, or red. If you've left your website for a really long time, it's probably going to be red. Most websites are going to be in the yellow or the orange color. Your website's doing well if it's in the green. So what does this mean? When you come down into your site health status, it kind of breaks it down into critical issues and recommended improvements. The ones that you really need to be worried about are the critical issues, but again, it's kind of its way of bringing it to your attention. Most likely it's not going to be a do this or your website's broken tomorrow, but if you don't resolve these in the near future, your website will be impacted. So what you want to do is have a look at what they say. And the best thing about this health checker is you can Google what it says and the error that it's giving you, and it will typically show you how to fix these on your website. So for example, a PHP out of date version will happen when the new PHP versions come out and your website falls too far behind. So you can see here that I'm currently running 8.0 and there's a new version 8.3. So you can simply just copy and paste this error into Google, and it's going to give you the step-by-step process on how to update your PHP version. Now, if you do get stuck with any of this, you may need to contact a web developer in order to help, but 9 out of 10 issues you're going to be able to resolve on your own. So then your recommended improvements are your less critical ones, but are still good to have. And it's even going to break down the type of error it is or the type of improvement. So you can see these ones here with security are related to shoring up vulnerabilities on your website. And I won't go into these just now because we're going to actually have a look at these in the next steps. Then your performance are things that are going to affect how fast your website loads or some aspect of its utility. And then this one here is a email related issue. Now, again, you don't need to know all these things off the top of your head. Go and Google them and you'll be fine. All right, so you've gone through these, you've resolved all of them. There's a big likelihood that you're actually going to solve some of these next steps by doing this, which is why it's always great to do it first. But then you're going to go ahead and do a secondary check on a few different areas. The second step that we always do is check the plugins. You wouldn't keep expired food in your fridge, right? So the same logic applies here. Outdated or unused plugins are dangerous. They're the number one way that hackers get into websites. They're also the number one performance breaker on websites. If you've got a lot of plugins, and even worse, a lot of outdated plugins, then your website's going to become noticeably slower. So if someone's got an issue with load speeds, this is one of the first places that we check in order to improve things. So there's 2 ways to do this. You can either come to your plugin tab on the left-hand side, or even simpler, you can come up to the top of your website and click on this little icon. This takes you to a page which shows you all of the things that you can update. So the first thing you need to check is your plugins. And you can see here that I currently have 6 out-of-date plugins. None of them are super overdue. You can see that the versions aren't that far apart compared to the previous ones. However, any out-of-date plugin is an issue. So you're just going to click on select all and then click update plugins, and then your website's going to do the rest. Now, I will just preface this and say you should always take a backup before you perform a maintenance check or maintenance updates. Even if you're just adding in new plugins or you're updating old plugins, anything like that, where you're making changes to your site, always take a backup of the site before you do it. 9 times out of 10, you're not going to need it, but the one time you do, you're going to really wish you had it. So back up your website before you do any of this. Once your plugins are updated, then you're ready to move on to the next step. So the third step in maintaining your own website is check your theme. Your theme is the thing that you've built your website out with. The best way to find it is under Appearance and to click on Themes. We, for example, use Divi. You can see here that it is currently up to date. If it's out of date, then you'll also see it in your WordPress updates page, the same place that you had your plugins, and it will show up underneath in your themes area, and you follow the same procedure. You can click on it and click update. One thing that I will say is if you've had customization to your theme and it hasn't been put in a child theme, then if you update it, you'll lose all the updates to your website. If you're not sure what I'm talking about here, then you probably should leave this until you've talked to a developer or your developer, and you can just simply ask, has there been any customizations directly to my theme? If they say yes, then you can follow it up with, has it been done in a child theme? If they say no, then you don't want to update your theme and you'll have to get your developer to do that. If they say yes, then you're free to update your website. The purpose of a child theme is to make sure that when a theme is updated, all of the new changes that come from that update don't actually override the changes you've made or that have been made directly on your theme. So if your developer says, yes, they have been made directly to the theme, then you may want to look for another developer because that's a very dangerous thing to do and it's a very easy way to lose a lot of work. The fourth step is to update your WordPress core. Now, WordPress, like your plugins and like your themes, has regular updates that come out. And like your themes and like your plugins, you'll see here you have the latest version of WordPress. If you don't, you're going to get a notification that there's one you can upgrade to. We haven't had it yet where upgrading the version of WordPress has broken a website unless that website hasn't been updated in years. So it's generally a relatively safe thing to do. So you can go ahead and update your WordPress the same way you did your plugins and your themes. This is an important one because WordPress updates are patching security issues. And if you're leaving it for too long, people know those security flaws and will look for websites on the older versions so that they can exploit it and get into your website. So make sure it's updated and you'll close those doors as they're found. The fifth step is to literally click through your website. So click on all the buttons, make sure things are loading, click on those. You're going to go down, click on different sections that are clickable, make sure that things move that are meant to move. There's no spelling mistakes. And if you do this just on a periodic basis, look at different parts of your website each time, then your overall user experience is going to be much higher. And it's surprising how many little things break just due to time going on with websites. You might add something in, a plugin stops working correctly on the front end, and you'll pick it up by actually using your website. The other thing is, don't just do it on desktop. Over 50% of people are using your website on mobile. So make sure you get out your mobile and do the same checks there as well. Then the final thing, and this is honestly the most overlooked thing and has the biggest impact on how your website performs for your business, and that is to check your contact methods. So that means your phone numbers, your email addresses, and your contact form. What I literally do is I go to the get in contact. Then you have a look at is if I've got my numbers, are they the correct numbers? Have they changed? Is the email still the correct email? Did we have an update to that in the past and it was never updated on the website? And then fill in the contact form and make sure you actually get that to your email. It is so surprising how often a website's contact form is broken and the people don't even realize it. And then they realize that they've just lost out. If they don't have an archive of them, they've lost out on a whole bunch of prospective work. So then the question becomes, how often should you actually be doing this 6-step routine? And the best answer to that is monthly. So just literally go into your calendar and set a reminder, recurring, do it the same time every month, and then you're just not going to forget it. Say the last Friday of the month, and then you just do this and it's just going to become like second nature, and your website's going to be running faster, smoother, and your customers are going to have a much better experience. So if this video has been helpful, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.